costs to support cultural districts, assuming they have a program that can support it. And so the relationship building that we're doing now will help us to figure out where we can go to direct cultural districts to do it. I'm also, we're hopefully going to be getting some research work done from Tufts and working with a company called, what's it called? What's the big international real estate or design and development? I can't think. There's a company that wants to work with us to help us really look into the cultural districts program. I've been doing my own research on historic districts and arts and entertainment districts, both nationally and internationally. There's lots of policy that make those programs more viable for communities. We want to get more out of it. So at the moment, if you decide you want to be a cultural district, we'll help you figure out what the path is. It's a 1 mile sort of walking distance. We'll figure out, and then you get about $15,000 a year and some signs. And so really the vibrancy of your cultural district depends heavily on what you all do with it. I noted that where it was mentioned that the cultural district might go is part of it is Main Street, where Mark's store is. And so I encourage you all, before you apply, I think you all should meet as a community to talk about it. And I encourage you all to think about the business model and what the business plan could look like. Because even though $15,000 is a nice grant, it's not enough for only a cultural district to do all the things that you probably want to do. So it sounds like a great thing to do. We will be there for you when you want to do it. In a couple of years, there'll be hopefully more benefit to having a cultural district. So you can wait if you want, or you can start the process now.
I have a question. Do you do any work with senior centers?
I know we have some arts organizations that serve, yeah.
There's a lot of local cultural council funding goes to senior centers also.
Speak up a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of the local cultural council funds go towards senior centers, also councils on aging. So I think that's largely where the connection is. But
Yeah, the project, the festival grants as well, that we offer. The senior center in and of itself are not necessarily considered cultural organizations. So it's something basically focus on funding. But they can get some money. How about council as an investment?
Thank you.
Just a follow-up on that. But somebody could apply for a arts cultural grant to do a program for a senior center.
Yeah.
Because they would be doing it as an artist, even though the clients.
Yes. For a festival project. I mean, our individual artist grants are unrestricted, so you can do what they want. In fact, you don't even have to focus on art. It's we just want to support you all because you make our work better.
I just want to direct to the local cultural council, the Ashburnham Cultural Council.
We've funded things at the senior center, things such as storytelling, music, some dances. So there, a lot of times artists will apply to offer that, and we will connect them to the senior center if they haven't already made that connection. So yeah. We try to spread it across the town with the schools, the senior center, the library. So we try to, give it as local as possible and benefit the residents as much as possible.
Sounds great. All right, thank you.
I just want to go back a little bit because
I think the cultural district is, to me, a tactical part of what I think you all should consider as a larger Ashburnham cultural plan. Like the brain power in this room and the actual power in this room could really, I mean, I heard several people talk about this becoming a cultural destination. I encourage you all to build out a long-term plan to work with your town administrator. We were riffing about, I know that there are some communities across the country that charge a small tax based on the square footage of your home is dedicated to the arts. costs you an extra $100 a year if you're a homeowner, but that money can go right to the arts. There are as you think about your plan and what you want to do as a community, not just specific to one or more different organizations, but as a community, maybe that's part of the long-term planning. I heard that there's a park, there's some planning for the park and some more planning for the library, but what if that's all part of a cultural, long-term cultural planning? We're stronger together. So the cultural district can be one of the tactics in that plan, but think big picture.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the Community Preservation Act that you're talking about, and I would love everyone in this room to support that if possible, if we do end up going in that direction. One of the things we want to do in town is not only show off everything we're doing, but get people to come in from Worcester, from southern New Hampshire, from Boston and Western Mass, we're this central location. Do you have any advice on that, since we have this rural, middle of nowhere feel, and yet we have a lot going on? How do we bring people in?
I've seen communities do sort of everything from sort of marketing buy-ins where all the cultural organizations pay one company to do marketing for the cultural region, the cultural city. I know we have a lot of the cultural districts doing that kind of marketing. There also are the regional RTC, the regional tourism councils that will help you with marketing. But again, I think that's part of this longer term plan, this sort of, this is the place we want people to come. Your neighbors in Fitchburg have decided that Fitchburg will be a cultural destination, and they have an old opera house there, and the mayor has committed to this. It was one of the first things he said. They've raised quite a bit of money. Last time I heard it was like $350 million to renovate the opera house, plus they're turning the school into the workspace for artists. They're redesigning all of downtown to manage the traffic that they think will be coming in to visit the places. They're building a black box next to the opera house and another theater. And then they've redesigned the zoning in downtown so that the small 1- and 2-story buildings can start building on top of it, because they expect there's going to be a population growth and more businesses growing. So that's what I mean by like big picture, long term, because all of that working together is a really good.
So when Fitchburg started, Fitchburg Studios concept 7 years ago. Angie and I had just started the business, and we joined the first year, and actually that was surprised at the traffic. We're the only venue in Ashburn that participated at the time. But people would make their way out through Fitchburg. They followed the destination points in the city when it just moved well, and our little place was packed with people. But in order to differentiate us from some of the other participants, we decided to make it an event. So we would invite our participating artists to come in-house, bring materials, as well as art to share. Sometimes they participate themselves in various types of printmaking. And the people just really enjoyed it, and they would come back year after year to see what was next. How to get through this process. So it's been building and growing. Last year we took it up a notch. We collaborated with Jess, and we invited 8 artists, including myself. We had 4 at Creative Connections and 4 at the library and gallery to set up tables, with demonstrations, and we hope to continue to grow that in the future. Possible, but it does show that just by locking arms with Fitchburg,
And that was, I mean, to the mayor and the town leadership, there was also a lot of state leadership involved in that. Their Parks and Recreation vote, local cultural council was involved in that, the university, transportation, it just became this big sort of collaborative project. I think they're going to be successful.
Another way that we've been building off of the energy in Fitchburg is we've developed an Ashburnham Art Steward program based off of Fitchburg Art Stewards Program, which many of the people in this room have participated in, where we brought in people from Fitchburg doing all these projects you're describing and said, how did you do it? How did you fund that? And just learning from them as a group. And it's community building and, yeah, tapping into that energy source and funding source, honestly. Did anyone else have any questions?
Specifics on the grant programs that we have. I'm curious about.
We're excited here at New Dawn to look at the new program you have for operational support, because we need staff to be able to run a place. And most of our programs have been backed by the local cultural council and the festivals program. But to be able to just day-to-day meet our needs, we need operational support. So do you have anything to say about that new grant?
Yeah, so it's a slight tweak from the original grant. So the program is called the Cultural Investment Portfolio. We're changing it to make sure everyone understands that it's just a general operating grant. So that's one change. The second part is we had this program called the Gateway Program. So any new organization coming to us would go into the Gateway Program, and they were eligible to get a $3,500 grant for a few years before they were moved into the Cultural Investment Portfolio. I didn't like that because from a customer service point of view, I didn't like the idea of our new customers getting the lesser of the product. So we've combined the two, and so when you apply, if you meet the eligibility, you go right into the general operating grant. This year we'll be exploring some things like what happens if we factor in need to the funding formula. And also, I'm aware from our COVID relief money that we have a lot of for-profits in the state. Maybe more for-profit arts organizations than nonprofits. Mark is one example, who maybe aren't profiting and still may need things like new buildings, new roofs and stuff like that. And so we're going to look at that, analyze that to see if maybe this can also be expanded to that as well. So that's basically, it's going to be super simplified grant application. We're also trying to give you money and then leave you alone. So we used to do required evaluative site visits, but we don't need to be evaluating you. I think you're all doing great work. So, and then simplifying the final reports. You're not spending hours, but you're spending minutes on final reports.
I just want to thank you so much for that, because just over the last 5 years, working on grants and trying to figure out funding, from starting with absolutely nothing, the things you're describing are like life-changing and really make this possible.
Yeah, our goal is, we call it applicant-centric grant making, coined that. So the goal is to think about the people who would have the hardest time applying.
They've never applied before. They're running a small community dance organization, and not only are they the executive director, but they're the registrar, they are the grant writer, they also clean the toilets, and like they don't have hours to apply, they have minutes. So we're thinking about those folks, and people who are intimidated by writing grants. So you'll see us devalue grant writing experience. So we're not looking at the quality of the writing of the grant application, because we don't expect you all to be professional grant writers. We want you to be artists. We're devaluing the mastery of the English language, because we have a large immigrant population here that doesn't speak English as their first language. So right away, grant writing tends to put them at a disadvantage. The other good thing is that I'm in rooms with philanthropists 3 or 4 times a month, and I'm bragging on the work that we're doing, and they're all starting to think about that kind of work. I was just invited yesterday by this organization called Philanthropy Massachusetts. Write it down, become a member. It's a membership organization for philanthropists in Massachusetts. And you can have membership as a nonprofit or for-profit. And you'll get a list. When you put in your portfolio, they'll send you grants that you're eligible for, and or you can go into their membership base and some research to find out what grants you might be available for. They just invited me yesterday to speak to them about our strategic plan and what we've been doing in our grant making. So hopefully we can influence other philanthropists that way too.
We use your model as how we try to operate as well. So these things that you're describing, we are taking note, and thank you for your leadership in that role. And we're trying to do that on smaller scales too. So.
I think this should be the last question.
So we're looking at applying for the STARS residency grant, but are there also overlaps that we could also apply as a separate grant, or I guess balancing out some funds that wouldn't necessarily fulfill all the way? So by having more integration with students, working directly with the artists, and then having workshops that go with that. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, there's two things I'll say about this. And one, I'm just going to be frankly and transparent. The funding that we get is supporting, we don't really quite know, but I'm guessing maybe a quarter of the sector based on how many of you all applied for the COVID relief grants. So there's a lot of pressure on the money we have. And so one of the things we have to investigate is, at the moment, one organization can get multiple grants. So we have to see if that's a practice we can continue, knowing that some organizations are getting one. So we'll be investigating that over the next year or so. To your second question, in our arts education and creative youth programs, we basically have two restricted grants. You have to do either a school residency or out of school time youth development program. I went to that team and said, hey, I've been visiting schools, and they have said they need things like new equipment, like new MacBooks. And we heard the story today, or teacher arts integration training, or field trips, or they want to do a mural project in the hall. Our grants you couldn't get those. And so I've convinced that team to go back and look at the full picture of what is needed in arts education and youth development programs. And hopefully we're going to come away with a general programmatic grant where you could apply for whatever you want, and then we could fund that. So you can still apply for residencies, you can still apply for after-school programs, but now you can apply for new violins, or the renovation of the theater, or new dance mirrors, or whatever it is. And so that's what we're working on.
Just wanted to thank Joe Comerford too, our senator, and thank you for connecting us all here today and for your support as well. Did you want to say anything?
I'll just say, all of the opportunities that you're talking with Michael and his team about, Elena and I are here to work with you. And just as Michael is integrating the arts into health, into economic development, into other sectors, so were we really interested in that. So while Michael is the first, and maybe the closest to my heart, state official, who will come out here, let's bring more, right? Let's bring Secretary Yvonne Howe, who's from Williamstown. She is unbelievable, as Michael, I think, agrees and his team agrees. Let's bring other secretaries, other commissioners to see Ashburnham and this region, so that, Elena and I'm particularly grateful to Elena for being, our team's connection to this. But let's, I'm excited about getting to represent Ashburnham, and grateful to Michael for, being our first foray here, and let's do more together. So think of us. We're going to come back to the library for another open house. We'll do office hours here, so I really look forward to investing in this community with you. You're inspiring, so it's going to be fun to do.
What a great friend to be part to have, Senator Joe Comerford. I think my first site visit was with you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm a
Was it
frequent
not?
flyer. No, I don't think so. I think I was your second, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm a frequent flyer with Michael.
She's a frequent flyer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much.
This is great, everyone. Thank you. Keep doing this.
So whoever has a card